We did it! Yeah! We made it to 10,000 subscribers somehow.
Thank you everyone so much for following along and watching our videos. We're so excited and honored and just happy. So we wanted to make a video answering your frequently asked questions about us or about the things we do. And so many of you submitted your questions on YouTube and Instagram. Without further ado, we've got your questions to answer. I'm Lainey.
And I'm Shawn.
And this is Days We Spend
Answering your questions. Our first question is, why do you feel like going back to the Camino rather than walk other trails?
For me, a lot of it is I really love long distance hiking, but I don't want to carry all the gear it takes for backpacking, like the tents and the stoves and all the food. To split the difference, I love doing what's we kind of in the US think of as a hut to hut hike, but in the case of the Camino, it's town to town hike. There are a lot of other long trails I want to walk too, though. We just haven't got there yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's partly just time. So we live in Spain, so the Caminos are easier for us to do than to think about another like GR route or anything like that. The infrastructure is great. Like Lainey said, there's literally arrows on the ground telling you where to go. You get really addicted to the arrows. Like when you like are walking around after the Camino, you're like, where do I go?
How do you deal with post-Camino blues if you experience any?
I don't. I think this question's better for you.
Oh, I mean, I'm always a little sad, but I tend to focus on the things I don't have on the Camino, like the privacy of my own bed and shower, and like the ability to cook all the food I want in my own kitchen.
You revel in like what you get when you're off the Camino.
Yeah, that's part of it, but also I'm going through video footage and editing, so I kind of get to re-walk the Camino anyways.
We joke that Lainey walks the Camino twice. She walks it and then she like watches every second of footage.
After our first Camino in 2017, I kind of did that by making my sister look at all my photographs like 3 times through.
So yeah, Lainey deals with the Camino blues by just constantly being on a Camino.
Always be Caminoing.
Always be Caminoing, ABC. What did the Camino teach you about yourself?
It's a really tough question because we've done 4 Caminos together, and each time I think it gets something different out of it. The first time we walked, I thought that I was this like Zen, let everything go, don't plan things. And we got home to New York and we're in the cab home from the airport. And I just started yelling at the traffic. The moral of this, though, is I think everyone expects travel to change themselves or to become a different person while they're traveling, and we don't. We're always who we are. While the Camino really taught me more awareness of who I am and like my strengths and weaknesses, I don't think it's taught me to change necessarily.
The first thing in your packing list is you. The Camino taught me that I really don't like packing a lot of stuff. So my bag has gotten smaller and lighter each time. I just want to bring as little as possible.
Yeah, the one last thing for me, though, is I think I got a little more comfortable in my own skin on the Camino since spending a month without wearing any makeup in 2017 for the first time. And then I just stopped really wearing makeup again. I feel like I'm a like teenage me again, of like going back to like the roots of who I was.
Teenage me was a jackass. Do you ever have a bad day on the Camino? You always seem so cheerful. Thank you.
I mean,
we're heavily edited.
Yeah, we definitely have bad days on the Camino. I seem really cheerful, but sometimes we're just not filming what's bad. Like, I actually got food poisoning on the Camino Norte, and none of that got filmed. And that was definitely a really, really bad day.
I don't usually have bad days. I'm pretty even keel. I just have rough mornings. If coffee is too far away, or if we get up at dawn because Lainey wants to see a castle or something, I have a rough morning.
Yeah, he's really hard to get out of bed sometimes. Do you stretch after each day or just collapse and start drinking on your walks? Just wondering how you prevent injury.
Good question. No, I don't really do any stretching. Lainey loves to, though.
Stretching.
Wow, the flexibility.
You're hard to stretch on the couch.
Yeah, that's a weird choice.
Ooh. I always stretch my hips, my calves, my quads, my feet. I actually massage my feet a lot. Sometimes I even bring foot release or self massage balls, like this cork one that's really light, which I love. My favorite one is this prickle ball, but it's a little heavier.
Yeah, that is pretty heavy.
You're going to have injuries from just overuse and going too fast and going too far sometimes. So one way to prevent injury is to just simply ease into your walk instead of go gung-ho in the beginning. Get your body used to like wearing a bag and walking the distance. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
There it is. I really wish I did what Lainey does, which is like take care of your body. I need to start doing that.
So this is a question specifically aimed for women. It says, hoping to do a Camino, but worried about going to the toilet outside. Any tips? And she specified that she was a female in this question. So there's a couple things you can do. And one is I like using this Kula cloth. They clip to the outside of your backpack so it can dry. But essentially you use this to instead of toilet paper when you pee. And then it'll dry outside your backpack. And you just take it in at night and wash it when you're doing your laundry so that you're not like carrying a smelly pee rag around.
It's antimicrobial, right? Or is it just
it is antimicrobial. Antimicrobial. I hate this word.
You got it the second time.
Microbial.
Yeah, there's no R.
It's antimicrobial. So antimicrobial and it,
I'm keeping all of those in. 100% of those are going in.
I really, really love this piece of gear that I added to my packing setup. A lot of long distance backpackers use these, and I think more Camino pilgrims need to do it because sometimes there's just too much
toilet paper
on the trail.
Camino.
Like, pick up your garbage, people.
What's the other tip you had?
Actually, I have a couple other tips. One is you should practice some deep squatting because you're gonna be squatting. Like I'm not joking about this. Like you can squat where like you grab onto a tree and you assist yourself so that if your knees are really fragile. My number one tip is to get pants that are easy to get on and off, or shorts easy to get on and off with like an elastic, because the quicker you pee, the less likely someone's gonna like walk in on you.
She had a pair of pants with like a drawstring, like a tie, and for like 2 weeks, all I heard was stupid pants.
Button, zipper, drawstring. I was
Yeah.
like, why do they make hiking pants like this?
It's like a chastity belt for her pee.
Whose idea was it to do your first Camino? Was the other person up for it, or did they need a lot of convincing?
When we went on our first date, we actually talked about the Camino. I'd already done a Camino at that point too, actually.
Well, I basically remember jumping in and saying like, oh, you've done the Camino. I've always wanted to do it. It's like on my list of hikes I really want to do next. And then a year after our first date, we walked our first Camino together.
Gross, right? This one is from my buddy Jared, Big Dum Dum. The pilgrim menu isn't bad, but it doesn't tend to be too diverse. How do you enjoy what the Camino has to offer in small towns and when you're on a budget?
We actually had this similar problem on our very first Camino Frances in 2017. And I remember we did a lot of pilgrim menus. You kind of got sick of it at some point, but I was also just so hungry, and that was like the most amount of food. We've learned since then though, and I think we try to balance out a lot more cooking, dinners, and packing picnic lunches. Especially on a budget, picnic lunch is definitely going to go a lot farther. If you go to the deli counter at a grocery store and you buy like just the amount of sliced chorizo or cheese that you want, and then you buy some bread, and you've got yourself a really good lunch.
Your first Camino, you feel almost like boxed in that you have to do the pilgrim menu. Sometimes they can be good. Sometimes it's kind of a waste of money. You're paying a lot for like a pretty crappy meal. So if there is a restaurant or a bodega, give it a go.
Embrace the tortilla, the cafe con leche.
Don't always just default to the pilgrim menu.
If you're looking for a restaurant that serves bigger portions for dinner, you want to look for the word raciones on a menu, and then you can get like a really big plate of like chorizo and eggs and potatoes and like really satisfy your Camino hunger.
We ran into a really baller menu del dia on the Invierno, but it was lunch. So that might be another thing. You might have to adjust your expectations of having like a really big, delicious lunch at like 2 o'clock instead of expecting a really big, delicious dinner. Hiking poles. Which do you like best? Material, trifold versus sliding, etc. We are massive fans of hiking poles.
And what we have here are 3 things of hiking poles. These are our friend Sarah's. These are Shawn's. These are mine.
I'll quickly talk about these. This is a very budget decathlon. This is like one step up from their cheapest. They're fine. This is a locking style one that only has one locking bracket, so you can't really play with it.
And also the strap on the hand, it's not very cushy, which means it's going to dig into your wrist a little bit as you use your hiking poles. Because remember, you always go up and then grab.
Slower.
Slow-mo.
Oh, yeah. No, that is important.
If you fall, you don't break your thumb.
The whole point of the hiking pole is the strap is holding your weight. It helps you move.
You kind of push down on that strap.
This one is mine. I'd say this is the next step up from the budget decathlon pole. It has two adjustable sort of sliding points, a nicer cork grip. Same thing though, it's not a very padded strap, but I didn't mind. And I got this in Spain for about 30 euros for the set, so pretty similar price point.
So mine have a really nice padded strap, and I just picked them because they had really good reviews as like a mid-weight pole that was light for the price point. Because you want something that's not so heavy, because the heavier the pole, the more weight you're like physically using with your hands.
You're not climbing Everest. You don't need an ultralight pole.
I think all of our poles are aluminum. You can get those like really fancy titanium ones, but they're super lightweight.
I mean, they'd be nice, yeah.
It'd be great. But honestly, you're putting your poles in a communal bin at the end of the day. So I don't think a very expensive pole is the way to go.
Yeah.
Hospitaleros don't want you to bring them inside. You're going to mark up their walls by accident. You make a lot of noise. So they need to break down easily. I know some people with more expensive poles get the tri-fold. Tri-folds are great, but they are more expensive. I just know the tri-folds fold smaller. So like this is really large. The tri-folds fold about this big. So you can stick them into your backpack, like all the way in the backpack. Remember, if you are flying with your poles, you still have to check them. I also like the locking ones, like these clip locks, because it's quicker to adjust them. There's other ones that are twist locks, and I find the twist locks will break quicker.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a long Camino, but I don't think I'll have longer than 14 days. What Camino would you recommend, and what time of year for that route?
So a lot of people don't have a month to do the Camino Francés, which is totally normal. For 14 days, you can do the last 200 kilometers of the Francés if you want to experience the very like traditional Camino.
Like from where? Ponferrada?
Ponferrada, or you can start in
Astorga.
But a better option, I think, is to do one of the shorter Caminos. I think the Primitivo would be my first choice. We did it in 11 days.
That's fast though. It's usually 13 days. I think it depends on where you're flying from and if you want to finish the Camino. If you want to see the northern coast, but you don't need to finish the Camino, you can start from Bilbao and walk to like Gijón or something. Like
right.
Bilbao has an airport, so it's easy to fly into Bilbao. So you want to think about like how easy it is to get to the starting point. So if you only have 14 days, but you land in Madrid and then you take like a 2-hour train and then a 4-hour bus to get to your starting point, that's a lot more difficult.
Ignore everything I said. That's better. Short answer, do the Primitivo. It's perfect for a 2-week Camino. We did it in the spring. It's a little chilly. I'd say a summer Primitivo is an amazing 2-week Camino.
I think another good answer is, which we haven't done this Camino yet, but the Portuguese from Porto is about 2 weeks long.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's the second most popular Camino. We haven't done it yet. We've heard a lot of great things about it.
We got to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I jumped in. I'm so excited about that one.
Oh, and I have one more answer for this actually, which is you could do like 100 kilometers of any of the routes into Santiago and then walk to Finisterre, because that's a really beautiful Camino that actually doesn't have as many people walking on it.
It's a really good answer. All of her answers were better than mine.
That was the end of our Camino questions. We're going to move on to other questions that you had. So what's the next one, Shawn?
We only have a couple non-Camino related questions. Have you thought about staying longer than a year in Spain? What have you enjoyed the most in Spain? What a big question.
Well, we're on a non-lucrative visa, which is a year long, and then we have to do a renewal to stay additional years. And we're definitely going to do the renewal. We love it here so much. So we're going to do more than a year for sure.
Yeah. We're going to renew our lease. We're going to renew our visa. We're going to renew our sense of wonderment.
I thought you were going to say lease on life.
Yeah, there you go. We really like being in Galicia. So I think that was a pleasant surprise. We were a little nervous about moving to Galicia instead of a larger city or somewhere warm, you know. But Galician life has been perfect fit for us. It's very chill, it's laid back, but there's also like crazy parties and like always something going on. I've really enjoyed the serendipity of walking through our small town and getting to Plaza Mayor and going, oh, I guess there's a medieval festival. Or like, oh, everyone's throwing chickpeas at the mayor today. Like, we don't have to plan every day or every weekend to have a really interesting time. That's been my biggest takeaway, is like the serendipity of life in Spain.
I think for me, I've just enjoyed living in a city where I can walk everywhere. We used to live in New York City, and I loved walking everywhere there.
But you like walking?
Oh, I do love walking.
I know, right? You do like 2 Caminos a year, and you like walking?
I really enjoy like the fact that like we live in Old Town and it's this medieval area, and we look out our window and it's these old cobblestone streets, and I love the history in this area. There's Roman baths in our town, and just thinking about how many years of history people have lived in this space, and just to be a part of that. I really just love the food here. The cost of living is just really affordable for us, and so far it's been great. We're trying to remember, like, this is our first year. We're seeing it through rose-colored glasses, and everything is new and amazing. We have 2 questions about Alaska, and I'm going to read them back to back, which is, my only question is, when are you coming to visit Alaska? And then, will you come explore Alaska and visit us?
Hey, Sat and Miguel. So these are from my cousin and her son. Hey, guys, you guys watch the channel a lot. It's great to hear from you. I would actually love to go visit Alaska. We've been so focused on Spain. I'm like, yeah, Alaska would be amazing. I've never been. You guys live there, so it'd be fun to see you. But that would be a fun like series if we like.
Also, Toasty's still in existence, so maybe we take Toasty to Alaska.
Oh no, that's far. That car is getting up there, and it is not insulated. Stay tuned. We're going to Alaska somehow. Our final question here is it's a good general question. I love it. What are some of the highs and lows of travel for you?
Let's start with the negative and end with a positive, right?
Sure. Oh, wow. Deep.
Yeah. So the lows for me is when things don't go according to plan. I'm really like to have a plan and know the plan, and something goes wrong, it kind of turns into a low. We were in the Philippines and there was a huge storm and canceled all the boats, and it was Christmas, and we waited in like a 3-hour line to get our tickets changed, and then that changed ticket got canceled again, and I was like, I don't want to wait in line again. I'm just gonna buy a new ticket online. And like pulling that ripcord on a plan was like really upsetting for me. The positive is it ended up being a really memorable day, and our travel insurance helped pay for the loss of the hotel that we had and like a new place we had to emergency book.
The low for me is a really.
I know.
Yeah, you probably know it. The low for me is like, it sounds like a really stupid answer. I don't have a rocking chair.
I was just totally gonna say that because you looked lovingly at your rocking chair.
My rocking chair is just out of frame right now. I love rocking chairs. Like, I like being in a rocking chair. A hammock is a close third. There's something you miss about the comforts of home. Like, people don't talk about that enough. Home is awesome. Like, travel is this amazing thing that you can explore the world and meet new people and push yourself and find new experiences. But like, home is the best. I love being home. I'm much more of a homebody than I think viewers of the channel will guess. Yeah. And I really want, that's embodied perfectly by the fact that like, I love my rocking chair, sitting in it, reading in it, having coffee in the morning, and just starting the day in my own space. I really miss that. The high is like meeting interesting people that I wouldn't have met. So we just met a good friend on the last Camino. Hey, Sarah. We met other friends on different Caminos. Hey, Hans and Laura. We've met people in Orense. Hey, Alicia and Seth. And Christina and Carson. When you leave your bubble, you can meet really amazing people. And we get to interact with all of you guys. These questions have been amazing. Like the fact that we have 10,000 people that care about us and want to hear what we have to say. That's a huge high for me.
I think for me, part of the high also is pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And maybe at the moment, it's not great. Like if you're hiking and I'm like, I'm so tired, I just want to die. Or you're like, I'm so hungry, I don't know where to get food. But then after the fact, you look back at that and you go, well, I got through that situation. I can do better next time. And every time you just get a little bit more resilient, get a little more flexible, a little more adaptable. And yes, travel doesn't change you immediately, but I think over a long period of time, it does have the ability to kind of change your mindset and how you view the world and how you see yourself in the world.
Thank you guys so much for all these questions. We really appreciate that you guys are on this channel with us and following along on our Caminos and our travels around Spain. We've got more videos coming up. Got a big, crazy honking Camino coming that we're excited to share with you.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. And we hope in the future to do a few more camper van / toasty style trips as well. So we'll see. We've got a lot to see and do, as well as just share a little bit more of our life in Spain with you.
We're going to do a Q&A video at 11,000, at 12,000, at 12,500, at 12.8.
No! If you want to follow more of our huge Camino we're going to do at the end of summer and beginning of fall, make sure you follow us on Instagram because we'll be posting a little more updates on there. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. I'm Lainey.
And I like rocking chairs.
Shawn likes rocking chairs.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for spending your day with us.